Okay, and we are recording. Okay, so now that we've done this example, you already know that you guys can basically convert 2D images, right, into a 3D, okay, environment like that. Okay, but basically, essentially, there's a lot of compositing in visual effects for Hollywood, right, is done using this method. Basically, you create a lot of cards, right, with a lot of 3D. So now we want to take it a step further. We want to combine it with the movement of the camera. That means we're going to track an actual shot that is shot on green screen. All right. So let's take a look at the shots that are available. And let's use, now you can use this one. I call this there are several shots over here. Okay, especially this guy, he's just sitting down there. And this girl sitting on this uh, green platform here. All right, so what you have to do is that you need to convert this into an image sequence. Okay, after you convert this into image sequence, then you apply the green screen. And after you do the green screen, right, you can do something like this. I call this the magic carpet, right? So you can see that this shot, right, has been incorporated with a track camera motion. Okay, so first we need to convert that into an image sequence. So I'm gonna use this one. Okay, maybe this time I'll use another image sequence instead. I'll use this one. Uh, and I'll use Blender to extract the image sequence. Now you can use Fusion to do that. Okay, I happen to like to use Blender because I'm just used to it. Okay, go to the video editing node and then just drag and drop the footage, right, into the timeline. Right. So we don't need the audio clip, so you can select the audio clip which is at the bottom, and you can press X to delete the audio clip. We only want the image sequence. And also important thing is this is shot on my Canon 5D Mark III at 25 frames per second. So you must always set it to the correct frame rate at 25 frames per second. So if your Blender is not set at 25 frames per second, please make sure you set it to 25. Okay, the entire sequence, right, will end at how long is it? It is 196 frames. So the end frame, we're going to put it at 196. So there's only 196 frames playing at 25 frames per second. Right. Now also another thing is we need to change the color processing. Okay, you need to click on the camera icon. Under color management, you want to change the view transform to standard. All right, so that the colors are much more vibrant. Okay, so once you have done that, let's convert this into an image sequence. So we first need to indicate where we want to output this image first. So go over to the printer icon. Then under the output, click on the folder. And then save it out as an image sequence. So I'm going to save it out into my folder, my work folder. Okay, and I'm going to create a new folder by clicking here. Okay, I'm going to call it Risky Remus because that's the name of the student in that footage. Then accept. All right, and then we are ready to export. So just click on render and then render animation. And we should be exporting this out into the default PNG image sequence. Now, if you did not set any of the image sequence, the PNG, right, should be good enough. So you'll notice that this entire sequence, right, does not have green screen all the way. That's why we need to apply something called a garbage map later on. Okay, so rather than drawing a box over it, later we'll be drawing a mask over it. And then basically we'll be using the mask to mask out its entire body. Now you notice one thing is that this particular shot, right, does not have any markers on it. Okay, but I think it's still fine because all around this entire frame, right, there's a lot of features that the Fusion camera tracker can track. So when I shot this on hindsight, right, I actually don't need to paste any markers. Okay, and then this will be good because it will give you a lot of clean green screen, except for these white dots which you have to mask out later on. Okay, so now I've exported the image sequence. The first thing I need to do is to, okay, I'm going to create a new composition. And I'm going to load in the image sequence that I have just exported. Okay, risky remus, open. And again, I need to check, make sure that your frame format is 25 frames per second at full HD. And we're going to review the footage. And it will end at 196. All right, so including 0, it will be 196. Okay, I think we have another interruption again. I'll have to stop. Okay, I'm going to stop the my mic here. Okay, so I'll have to just speak a little bit louder. Anyway, you guys can still hear me on the recording. So now I've got the image in. The first thing I want to do is I want to track the footage first. So apply a camera tracker, CTR. And let's just use the default settings and turn on preview. Do bi-directional, and then let's do an auto track. Okay, so you will know there are some problems straight away. Because the subject is moving, it's going to cause a lot of errors for the solve later on. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to press escape to stop this. What we will need to do is you need to draw a mask over him so that you will only track all the points that are around him, but not the subject. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so go and draw a mask. So create a mask over here, the polygon. Click on the polygon tool. So with the camera tracker and you click on the polygon will automatically be joined to the camera tracker. So you go to the first frame and then you start to draw a mask around him. Okay, make sure that there's a small perimeter around him. And then we're going to close this. All right, now you can preview the polygon by just dragging the polygon to the other viewer. And you can see this is what that will be allowed through. But remember, white means, right, I'm tracking everything inside this white box. So we need to invert the polygon. So you can go to the camera tracker and then you can scrub the timeline. You can see that the camera tracker will only track things which are within the boundary. So we do not want that. So we want to go to polygon and then we go over to the inspector and enable invert. Okay. And next we have to animate this polygon because you know that the camera is moving forward. So the polygon becomes bigger. So to make the animation easier, we're going to use the divide method. Okay, we start one set keyframes from the first and the last, and then we gradually move to the center of each to do a keyframe. So we already, by drawing this polygon, we set one keyframe already. So we go to the last keyframe, select all the polygon points, all right, and then you can press Shift B to use the box selection, and then you can scale all of it bigger at the same time, like that. And then so you don't have to animate the points one by one. Right, so by doing that, I set a second keyframe. Now go to the center, and then you can do the relevant adjustment. You can press Shift B again, and then go and scale up these points. Now, those of you who want to torture yourself, you can also animate point by point. All right, so you can do that as well. So now I set another keyframe ready, so you can see that this is following the subject. All right, we'll come to this part here, right? Because you shift to the right, I will have to set another keyframe for these points here. You can press Shift B, select all the points. Okay, it's not selecting the points right now. I have no idea why. Okay, I have to deselect this and reselect it again. Okay, now it should work. All right. So now I'll just Shift B and then add another box selection here, and then gradually make sure that he stays within the box. All right, so far so good. So remember, you do not want to track anything or anyone, right, that is moving. So this is another part of tracking theory, right? So if you want to make sure you get a good camera solve, make sure that your tracking, right, does not track any moving objects. All right, so this one I'll manually move point by point. Okay, this part here, you can see he's moving his head out too much. Okay, so you can see every time there is a change or shift, right, or of the points, okay, a keyframe will be added. Right, so I'm just going to make this a little bit tighter. You can see the keyframes, right, indicate as white dots here. So for those areas without any keyframes, you maybe want to scroll to that point and then check, okay, maybe I should add another keyframe here, just to keep the mask a bit tighter. Okay, so once we've done that, now we can do our camera tracking. So let's go to the camera tracker. And you can see there's still some points there. Okay, I'll just scrub the timeline forward. Okay, let me just reset the tracker. Okay, by clicking on reset, that's just now all those previous track points have disappeared. Okay, so now you can see the tracker doesn't track his body anymore. You can see no green dots appear on his body because we applied the mask. All right, so this part is very important. So now we can do our auto track. So with the mask, it will avoid tracking things which are moving. All right, we will only track objects that are stationary because we need the stationary point to solve. Okay, your seniors are now standing outside watching this shot because this shot was shot last year together with them. Okay, so I think we should be able to get a decent solve with this because everything around here is pretty much stationary. Okay, so and also we got this lamp post which is very good because it gives the camera more information or more gives the software more information about the parallax, the depth, and all that. Right, and then all these patterns on the wall, right, act as good track points. So now we go over to the solver. Okay, focal length we're going to put at 28. Then the film gate is the Canon 5D 1D. And then we're just going to do a solve and see what is the result we get. Okay, 1.45. Okay, not too crazy. Okay, we can work something down a little bit. So let's go and delete away all those bad points. Okay, the bad points appeared here. Okay, if you notice, there is a straight line crossing each other. So these are the points, right, that are probably adding the extra errors. So I'm going to delete away this point here. And okay, I'm going to turn off the preview. And let's look for points. Yeah, this one is also a bad one. This is a bad one. This one potentially is good. So I'm going to leave it there. This one is also good. This one is good. Okay, then I'm going to hit solve again. So I only deleted about 3 points over there. See now, just by deleting those points, I brought it from 1.4 to just 1.0. Now I can continue to delete. Okay, this one maybe, this one is a bad one. I'm going to delete this one. And maybe this one as well. Okay, since this one is red, okay, I'm going to delete this. Sometimes you track the highlights. Okay, remember highlights are also bad points. You can delete away. And let's run a solve again. It should go to below, yeah, say 0.7. This is good enough. All right, so I'm not going to go any further. So I got a good solve now. I will now do the orientation of the camera. I'm going to create a 3D merge. Now, you guys done this many times already, so this to you should be second nature now. So let's go and take a look at it in 3D. And you can see the space of this green screen area, right, is quite easily viewable. You can see the lines of the green screen ground indicated very clearly. All right, so let's do our orientation. So let's go to the camera tracker and go over to the orientation under 3D scene transform. Okay, and we are going to select underline first. Okay, and then we're first gonna pick our origin. For the origin, maybe I will pick this point, set as the origin. And then for the ground points, I'm gonna click on these rows of points and these row of points. So I know for sure these are on the ground. And then say set from selection. Then I'm gonna switch to align back again. So this time you can see the scene is nicely aligned to the 3D grid already. Okay, and we can start to do our export. All right. So go over here, go to the camera tracker. Right. Under export options, we don't need the ground plane. Okay, usually I'll remove the ground plane. I'll keep the image plane and everything else. Okay, then I'll just export. Okay, bring down the exported nodes. Okay, look through the new merge 3D. Okay, so look through the camera. Okay, I'm going to reduce the size of the point cloud. Okay, at this stage, right, you can align this if you want. For example, you see this part here, I want this straight line to be aligned with this grid point. So remember, the quick and easy way to align is to just grab the merge 3D node, go to the transform tab, and then rotate. Okay, I'm going to rotate along the y-axis, and now you can see it is aligned. All right, it's aligned to the ground, and maybe want to rotate it down in the x-axis a bit so that it follows the perspective. Okay, so roughly now I got it to match the ground axis. Okay, so now we got the camera movement. We want to green screen this out. So to green screen this out, we go back to the original layer and we apply the delta key here. Type DK, select it, and then apply a DK. And then we are going to sample the green colors first. Okay, I need to open up the original image. Okay, so now this thing should be transparent. However, you'll notice that it doesn't key out these areas. So we need to create a garbage mat. All right, so with the delta keyer selected, you can start to draw a polygon around him, or we can reuse the polygon that we have used, right, to create the animated mask. We're going to use this one, right, and use it as our garbage mask. I'm going to delete away this one. So to do that, right, okay, just watch this carefully. To reuse this polygon that we animated for our tracking, you just right mouse click on the output and then drop it into the node, and then you can choose garbage mat. All right, so now you can see that only him is transparent. Okay, but the green, you can see the delta keyer, right, still needs to be adjusted. Okay, let's look through the delta keyer now and see the result. So this is the result that we have. And you notice that there's still some areas that we need to fix. Right, so that's where the power of the delta keyer comes in. You can go to the delta keyer. You can go to the other settings here. Right, by adjusting like erode, all right, and adjust the fringe and all these values, right, to clean up the green. All right, or you can adjust the amount of green and then see how much you can clear out. You can see that. Now this part here will become more and more transparent. Okay, of course, you can go and animate the polygon even further to adjust the mask. All right. So this one, you can go to every key and then you can just key out. And you can see now, he's more transparent. All right. So now we just have a picture of him, right? A transparent version of him floating there. Okay, but this is not the image that we want to use. This is not the background image that we want to use. What we want to use is just the keyed out version of this, okay, which is we're going to use the output of this delta keyer and then use him as an element, okay, for our 3D scene. All right. Okay, I know this sounds a bit confusing, but you will start to see it how it works, right, when I connected all the nodes. Now, for the camera tracker, I don't need it anymore. Okay, and I also don't need it. All this, right, I can put it aside. Okay, I don't need this anymore. Okay, the previous polygon that I used for tracking is now being used as a garbage mat. Okay, and then it is being plugged into the camera, all right, as the background. And actually, we do not want that. So I'm going to unplug it from the camera so we don't see him. Right? Not a problem because later on we're going to bring him back again and to plug him into the dangerous location. Okay, so let's put him on the magic carpet. So let's find the environment first. Let's bring in the environment where he's going to fly. So I'm going to import in the Dubai background. Okay, there is, yeah, this one, the view from the Burj Khalifa. All right, so I'm going to use this image as a background. All right, and I'm going to use this camera tracker, right? This is actually the render 3D background. I'm just going to put this and merge it on top so that I can see the result. All right, we don't see any movement now because there's nothing for us to see. All right, so let's look at the merge 3D. And we also want to put this as the background. Okay, so you can see now that one is a stationary background for now. Okay, I need to see something behind this view first. So now I want to create a object, the carpet, right, and then put it in the center here. All right, so we're going to bring in the carpet texture. Okay, where's my carpet? Yeah, this is one, Aladdin's S carpet. All right, I'm going to bring it in. It's just a JPEG image. Okay, but if you put it into a merge, right, this is not going to look right. So I'm going to disconnect this, get rid of this merge. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to a 3D image 3D plane and then connect it into the merge 3D plane. And then now you can see the carpet, not magic carpet. So I'm going to rotate this so that it's now flat. Okay, until it makes sense. So I'm going to go to the transform of the image plane and then I'll start to rotate it. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate it vertically like this. Okay, so if I play back, right, looking through the camera, you can see the image. All right, the camera movement moving like that. Okay, so the background is just for me to have something in the background for the time being. But later I'll disconnect the background from this scene and I'll just basically composite this, right, on top of the stills. Okay, so next I want to put in this guy. All right, so I already isolated him out already. So same thing, I'm going to create another image plane card. And I'm going to connect him keyed out to this image plane and then connect it into the merge 3D world. And you can see that he's very, very small over there. So right now the carpet is very, very small. So I'm going to scale up the carpet, make it bigger. And also I can scale him up as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring him up slightly and then move him forward. So it looks like he's on the carpet. Okay, actually I should not bring him forward because if I bring him forward, right, then you can see some movement. I want him to keep basically sit on the carpet here, but problem is you can see his leg is cutting through the carpet. So I'll need to rotate him a little bit. Okay, and then just maybe put him up slightly like that. so that he will basically stay at the same spot. And then the carpet, maybe I'll just rotate it a little bit. Okay, so that he will stay on the carpet. Okay, you can see he's sliding a little bit because if you go to the 3D world, oops, let's undo that. If you go to the 3D world, right, you can see that he's not completely in line with the carpet. That's why he's sliding a little bit, just by a little bit only. So you have to make sure that your subject, right, is stuck over there. Okay, so if this is moving too much, right, then I'll let you guys try to bring in the dancing Spider-Man and Thanos, right? At least, right, they will just remain on the same plane. Okay. So right now we have this issue of him cutting through. So I'm gonna just try to rotate him, but if I rotate him too much, right, he will appear too flat. Okay, maybe scale him down slightly. Okay, look through the camera again. Okay, so now we can do the final composite. We can disconnect it from here. And then for the output of this, okay, I'm going to flip this, Control T. Let's take a look at this. Yeah. Okay, so now you notice the backdrop, right, is not moving. It looks a bit odd. So what we can do is that we can also attach this to a card in the background. So at least, right, the movement of the camera will be translated to the background. So I'm going to disconnect the Burj Khalifa view. And then I'm going to attach it to a card as well. Not this one. Select this Burj Khalifa and then add this card. And then we want to connect it to the 3D view. And let's take a look through the camera again. Okay, you can see the view, right, is now very small. So we need to make it very big. Just scale this up until it's really huge. Okay, and then I'm going to push it back. Okay, and I'm going to rotate it. And then I'm just going to scale it a little bit bigger. You can manually enter the value here, 10. All right, so now it looks like it's part of the environment. And you can see the perspective shift here. Okay, because the item in the background, right, appears to be much further away. Now, if you go over to the perspective, we can, oops, need to zoom out further away. Okay, right now you can see this backdrop is still quite close. So I'm going to select the backdrop and then really push it further away. And then really scale it up. You can scale this up really big. You can manually enter the value here. Maybe change it to 40. Okay, now change it back to the camera view. Okay, now my camera is the clipping. Camera also got a clipping problem. So right now I cannot see anything. So let's go and select the camera. And let's play with the clipping value. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. The clip is only clipping at 7.7. I'm going to put it at a much bigger value. Okay, I need to unlock it first. Then we can increase the value. Yeah, so increase the clip value so they can see it further away. So now the perspective seems to make sense. and we look at the merge result, the final result. Actually, no need to merge. We can see the combined result here. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so for the perspective illusion to work, you have to put the background as far as you can and then scale it up. Don't put the background too close to the carpet and the person elements. Okay, and then if you do not want the person element to slide too much, right, you must make sure that the position of this card and the position of this carpet card must be the same position. It must be the same exact position. If you move it too far apart, right, then you can see the sliding going on. All right. So once it's done, we can start to render this. I'm going to render it now. I don't need this merge anymore. I will apply a saver. Give it a name, carpet right.mov, and then save. Okay, then hit render. Now, before I do that, let me just arrange the nodes again so that you guys can follow along if you want. Anyway, this video is being recorded, so I'm gonna put the video up so that you guys can follow this. Right, so then I can start to render. Okay, so I'm gonna start the stop the video now, and I want you guys, all of you, to try this. Now, you don't have to use this guy as an element. You can use someone else. All right, you can use the Spider-Man dancing on the carpet. Okay, so I'm gonna stop recording now.